Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was released all the way back in 2014, and it is widely considered one of, if not the best game in the entire franchise. I, however, don't regard it so highly. I don't really like it as much as other games in the series. Hear me out and I'll explain why. I have some mixed feelings on this game. On the one hand, it's very nostalgic, it's iconic, has great character designs and lore, but on the other hand, I don't think the gameplay is as good or scary as the other games in the series. Well, except Security Breach, but that was kind of a given. In terms of gameplay, Scott Cawthon achieved exactly what he set out to do. Can't fault him there. He wanted to create chaos. I know this because he straight up said it in an interview.
There wasn't a really in-depth planning phase for like the overall feel of the games. Like a lot of these were, I just kind of knew what they were supposed to be, or just kind of felt the way that the series should progress. Like I knew that part 2 should be chaotic. Part 2 should be, a lot more chaotic than the first one. It should be just crazy. It should be overwhelming panic.
The gameplay revolves around chaos and creating panic. Since 11 total animatronics are moving around at once, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is much more fast-paced than the original. But just like the original, you have to survive until 6 AM as the night guard at a Freddy's location. The main mechanics in this game are winding the puppet's music box on the cameras and deterring Foxy by flashing your torch down the hallway. Everyone else functions pretty much the same. They enter your office, you put on this mask to disrupt their facial recognition systems or whatever, and they leave the room. I'm not really a fan of it. The more fast-paced gameplay, I mean. Most of the characters do the same thing, which is just they go away when you put the mask on, but the fact that there are just so many means that they are always entering your office and forcing your camera down. I don't like it nearly as much as other games in the series. I found it to be a lot less scary than the slower paced, dread-inducing gameplay that the other FNaF games offer. I just feel that while I'm playing this game, I'm a bit too overstimulated for a jump scare to have much effect on me. The tension is kind of missing from this game in my opinion. Which is fine, I suppose. It's what Scott was going for, and obviously a lot of people like it. In my opinion, it's just not as good as the other games. Not to say that it's inherently bad. The next big thing that I don't like about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is that its gameplay lends itself very heavily to RNG. You see, the three main mechanics conflict with each other constantly. The music box is always winding down, the animatronics never stop entering your office, and you can never tell when Foxy will show up. On one hand, this forces the player to make constant decisions, keeping them alert and on their toes, which is cool on paper. Because on the other hand, it means that you will keep finding yourself in situations where you absolutely cannot win. Foxy's in the hall and there's an animatronic in your room? Tough luck, try again next time, because you can't do both. Like, I'm okay with a little bit of RNG, don't get me wrong, it's part of the Five Nights at Freddy's experience after all. But the difference here is that in other titles, RNG will only set you back, like a system randomly failing in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, it takes your attention away from the Springtrap, causing you to scramble and have to find him again. Whereas in this game, it just completely screws you and ends your game. You see what I mean? There's a big difference there, because even if you play perfectly, you will still fail more often than not on higher difficulties. Sometimes it just feels like the only strategy is to just pray for good luck before every game. Even on night 6, I would kind of understand on 1020 mode because that was never made to be beaten, but night 6, come on. There are 11 characters in this game, more than double its predecessor, but that doesn't mean that there are tons of new mechanics or anything. The only 3 that really stand out to me are Balloon Boy because he doesn't kill you, he just disables your torch, the Puppet because of his music box, and Foxy because he isn't affected by the mask. The other 9 do the exact same thing really. They come into your office, you put on the mask to get rid of them, and that's about it. The only real variation between them is the fact that they come from different directions, which literally doesn't matter at all. it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Why does there need to be so many characters who, functionally speaking, do the same thing? You could take any one of them out and you probably wouldn't notice. In FNaF 1, each character had their own mechanic, the only similar ones being Bonnie and Chica, with them coming on opposite sides. But in FNaF 1, the direction actually does matter, because there are 2 doors, one for each side, as opposed to 1 mask for all sides in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The only thing that the sheer amount of characters add to the experience is that it makes the game more fast-paced, and I've already explained why I wasn't a fan of that. Don't get me wrong though, after all I've said, I do still think this is a good game. The character designs are brilliant, very memorable, probably my favourite part of this game actually. My favourites have got to be Wither Bonnie and Mangle and Puppet being a close second and third. This game also has a lot of lore, at least a lot more than Five Nights at Freddy's 1 did, that's for a separate video though. It is one of this game's strong points, so I have to mention it because it really was what kicked off all the theories in 2014. Speaking of 2014, this game will have a lot of nostalgia attached to it. Hell, it does for me. I remember getting hyped for the teasers and playing it for the first time. But I've tried to keep this video as not influenced by nostalgia as possible, purely looking at it from a gameplay standpoint. But I am genuinely interested. What do you think about FNaF 2? Do you like the gameplay, or is it another aspect of the game that you like? Tell me in the comments. Anyway, I'm done now. Thanks for watching the whole thing, or I don't know, being too busy to change a video or something. But I'm going to be making more of these kind of videos, one every Monday, so if you're interested, subscribe. I've got a sister location video lined up for next week, but I might have to postpone it because sister location has a lot more to talk about than every other game. Right now though, I do have 2 other Five Nights at Freddy's videos uploaded, and you can watch those right now. So, in conclusion, it's a pretty good game. I like it. It just could be better.